Okay. All right. So today, so the last week and this week too, just a lot about just movement, just get the body like lubricated and moving because we haven't done that in a while. So we're just going to work on just flowing. And then I think last week we did like full body. I think today I wanted to focus a little bit more on the like the low back, inner thigh, like the hip area, the low back, all the attachments of the muscles that are around the hip and the low back, and just kind of get some movement with some twists to just kind of clear out vacation, travel, kind of like a bit of a detox. So that's what we're going to do today. All right, so let's go ahead and start on our back, nice into a ball, and just begin this Saturday morning, just giving our low back a nice massage by rocking forward and back. You can also enhance this on your own by rolling on an object, such as a ball or like a cylindrical roller. And I can definitely tell after a week of not doing yoga that my back is not happy with me at all. Also, we're going to focus on some inner thigh. So inner thigh and twisting low back is kind of the plan for today. Hug our right knee into the chest and extend the left leg out long. Take the right knee out to the side, so we're in reclined tree. Tree is taking a nap. More of an active tree by using the right hand to press your inner right thigh, and kind of allow the hips to open here. Hug the right knee into the chest. Cross the right knee according to the left. Reach your right arm out to the side. Allow your outer hip. Kick the right foot across to straighten out the right leg. Maybe you hook underneath the left calf. Maybe you have a strap. Oh, this might be a little tricky in your van, huh? You can keep your knee bent. Bend the left knee. Right hand finds the left ankle for a quad stretch. And I think, so your left hand is on your right ankle, your right hand is on your left foot, and that is bent, so your left leg is bent. You're pressing your left knee away from you, and you're kicking your right foot up higher towards your ear, so you're in this like twisted position. Now pull the right hip away, so lengthen the spine by pulling your right hip away from your shoulder. And then release, will come down to the other side. So basically we're doing a twist and some quad stretch. Left knee into the chest, extend the right leg out long, taking a reclined tree pose. Use the back of the left hand against the left inner thigh. Hug your left knee in towards the chest. Cross the body over to the right for a gentle twist. Take your left arm out to the side. If you don't have as much room, you can always take goalpost arms, and you're still going to get that opening in the front of the left chest. Now, if you have the space, kick your left foot straight. You can still continue to hook underneath your left calf, or maybe grab the left toes. Bend the right knee. Left hand finds the right ankle, and you're in a quad stretch, pressing the knee away from you and pulling your hip down. Now, I know the body's not quite completely warmed up, but this kind of sets our baseline for where our body is today. And then release. Come back to the center. Take your feet together, knees apart, in reclined Batakanasana, butterfly pose. So lower the feet down, allow the knees to open, and just give a moment to allow your inner thighs to open with gravity. And then lift the feet up off the mat and the knee circles in opposite directions and changing directions. And go slow and big circles to try to clean all the edges, all the cobwebs out of your ball and socket joint. And rock on up to seated. Roll your shoulders back and down, engaging through the core. We're going to do a boat series. So roll your shoulders big, circles to just warm up and find movement this morning. And then roll the shoulders back and down, float the feet up off the mat. Maybe find yourself in your boat pose, lifting, pointing the toes, and whoops, and lifting the legs up higher. Anterior pelvic tilt. Can you find your anterior pelvic tilt? Pulling your thigh bones in towards your hips. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come into all fours. And cat-cow through the spine here. Okay, so this is cat. Press into the palms. Press into the heel of your hands. And continue to ensure that our, what did we call this last week? I can't remember what we called this last week. We glue our shoulder blades down our back. No shrugging, right? This is the anti-shrugging that we talked about, which is squeeze the invisible tennis balls underneath your armpits, pull the shoulder blades down our back, activating through the mid-back, and we don't shrug our shoulders, we actually glue them down. And then take that through cow and continuing to activate those muscles. So nothing has changed as you go from cat to cow. We are still gluing our shoulder blades down, squeezing the tennis balls. It's a very different sensation than if we weren't thinking about those things, because it's very easy for our shoulders to get closer to our ears as we transition from cow back to cat. A very slow transition because we're focused more on the activation of those muscles. Those should be your lat muscles or your serratus anterior muscles. And these are the muscles that we need to kind of be in a habit of always using, regardless if it's a back bend, or anterior pelvic tilt, posterior pelvic tilt, or a forward fold. These muscles are always on no matter what. They don't ever turn off. There'll be different degrees of on. And we're coming back into cow. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Keep turning those muscles on, the low trap muscles on, into your down dog. And how easy it is to just release those if we're not thinking about it. So keeping those muscles engaged, even in our down dog. It's a very different sensation in our down dog. Inhaling, right leg comes up towards the sky, swing it way forward, runner's lunge. And look up, back foot to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhaling all the way back up, floating arms up towards the sky. Close this door. And close the pose. Inhale. Exhale, swan dive it forward. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, plant the hands. Step step both feet back. Lower down knees. Can you engage those same muscles, the trap muscles? Squeezing tennis balls. That's what we call them. We call them the anti-shrug muscles. And lower down. Keep engaging those as we go into Cobra. This is really going to help. This is key. Posterior pelvic tilt and those muscles in Cobra. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Downward facing dog, keeping those muscles on as you transition to anterior pelvic tilt. Inhale, left leg comes up towards the sky. Swing way forward, runner's lunge. look up. Back foot to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhaling all the way back up. Tricep stretch on the right side. Side bend over to the left. So we're going to lengthen and twist today. Lengthen and twist. That's the theme for today. Inhale. Kind of circle out your elbow, crawl your right hand down your spine and go deeper. Stomp your right foot down. Stompity stomp stomp. Oh. And release. Big forward circle with the arm. Big back circle, like big back strokes. Big back strokes. Big back strokes. And shake it out. Other side, tricep stretch. Tricep stretch on the left side. Kind of wiggle it around. Draw the fingertips down your spine, side bend over to the right. Stomp your left foot down. The more you stomp your left foot down, the deeper the stretch on your side body. And you'll feel where the restriction, where the tightness is for you. Mine is in the psoas, because the last time I did yoga was with you guys last week. Inhale, wiggle, find more space, go deeper, side bend, stomp, and find length. So instead of thinking down, think up, like you're going to grow like a big tree that's leaning over to the right. Oof, oof. And release. Take it to the top of the mat. Inhale. Oh, big arm circles. That's what we forgot. Big forward arm circles. Go big, big and slow. Right, big and slow gets all the cobwebs. It's like you're scraping the inside of the cavity of where the ball and socket joint is to get all those cobwebs out, changing directions. Big back stroke, opening up, opening up, opening up. Oh, and shake it out. Inhale. Exhale, swan dive it forward. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, plant the hands. Step the right foot back. Drop the back knee down. Inhale. Forward, up and back. Take the arms out into goalpost arms. Open up through the chest. Extend your arms back into a V. Posterior pelvic tilt gets you in deeper. Inhale, neutralize through the spine. Windmill the hands down. Step it back into all fours. Anti-shrug muscles, low down, knees, chest, chin. Anti-shrug into Cobra, posterior pelvic tilt. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Anti-shrug puts us into down dog. Inhaling, right leg comes up towards the sky. Swing it. Ooh. Actually, send the right leg back behind you towards the left side. Find that opening in the, ooh, that feels good. That's psoas. The more you send your right foot back behind you, the more you're stretching like a bow. Right foot in between the hands, runner's lunge. Drop the back knee down. Inhale, forward, up and back. Oh, right hand down. Lift the left arm up higher, toss back. You're gonna feel that right here in the psoas. I think we're doing a lot of psoas lengthening today. To get deeper, posterior pelvic tilt. Posterior pelvic tilt brings the left hip forward. So you get deeper. Windmill the hands down. Pop the back knee off the mat. Back foot to the top of the mat, forward fold. Anterior pelvic tilt takes you to halfway up. Inhaling all the way back up. Floating arms up towards the sky. Interlace the fingers. Back of the head. Press the elbows back. Back bend. Posterior pelvic tilt. Stretches out both sides. Elbows back. Inhale. Neutralize to the spine. Close the pose. Inhale. Exhale. Swan dive it forward. Inhaling halfway up. Anterior pelvic tilt. Exhale. Plant the hands. Step the left foot back. Drop the left knee down. Inhale, forward, up and back. Take arms to goalpost arms, send it back into a V. Open. Posterior pelvic tilt helps us get deeper. Find the stretch in the psoas. Posterior pelvic tilt tosses us back even more. For 3, 2, and 1. Neutralize through the spine. Windmill the hands down, come into all fours. Anti-shrug muscles. Squeeze the tennis ball, pull the traps down, or shoulder blades down. Lower down, chest, chin. Keep those muscles engaged. Posterior pelvic tilt into Cobra. Those muscles help you lift into Cobra. The more you posterior pelvic tilt. Tuck the toes. Keep those muscles on as you transition anterior pelvic tilt. Downward facing dog. Inhaling, left leg comes up towards the sky. Send the left leg behind you over to the right side. Peek underneath your left arm. Find length, point the left toe, send it back behind you. So that's over to the right side. Feel the length in your psoas. Left foot in between the hands, runner's lunge. Look up. Oof. Strong and straight right leg. Back foot to the top of the mat, forward fold. Anterior pelvic tilt halfway up. Inhale, fold deeper. Inhaling all the way back up, hands behind the head. Press the elbows back behind you. Lift, like pull the occipital bones. That's the bony parts at the base of your skull. Pull, lift up, toss back, elbows back. Posterior pelvic tilt. Posterior pelvic tilt. And slowly neutralize through the spine. And close the pose. Oh, I know what we forgot. That's what we forgot. Inhale. Exhale. Swan dive forward. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale. Like that one. Let me forget. Let's see if it goes this way. Left foot comes up. So step the right foot back. Drop the right knee down. Inhale. Come on up. Left hand goes onto the left thigh. Reaching forward, up and back. That's what we've got you. Inhale, tall. Exhale, toss the right hand behind you. So notice how your rib cage wants to roll over to the right. You want to square the rib cage to the front. And then lift up and toss back. Lift up and toss back. Lift up and toss back. Posterior pelvic tilt for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly neutralize through the spine. Windmill the hands down. Step it back into all fours. Come into high plank. Come into, roll your shoulders down. So high plank, anti-shrug muscles. Pull the belly button in. Posterior pelvic tilt. Shift forward, then lower down into chaturanga. Inhaling, up dog. Anti-shrug muscles are on. Posterior pelvic tilt. And roll over the toes for down dog. Inhaling, right leg comes up towards the sky, swing it way forward, runner's lunge, drop the back knee down. Inhaling, right hand onto the thigh, left arm forward, up and back. Take your right hand, flip it to the palm facing up, clasp the wrist, pull up, toss back. Inhale, exhale, toss back. Posterior pelvic tilt. Inhale, lengthen through the left side, exhale, toss back. Oh. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, toss back. Neutralize through the spine and take the twist. So neutralize through the spine, take the length, take the twist over to the left side. Ooh. Take the hands in prayer, pop the back knee off the mat, pull the belly button up and in and twist. Reach your right hand over. Deeper stretch for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come to the middle, runner's lunge, look up. Strong back leg, so don't let the back leg sag. Back foot to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway up, exhale, fold deeper, inhale all the way back up. So if we twisted this way, we would have found length on the right side. So tricep stretch on the right side, side bend over to the left. Notice how if you got able to go a little bit deeper. So before, I felt my stretch like really up here. Now that this is the second time around, I can feel the restriction moved down a little bit. So where I feel my most restriction is that has shifted since the first time we did side bend. So that means something's working, it's loosening up. Inhale, come back to center and close the pose. Inhale, exhale, swan dive forward. Inhaling halfway up, exhale, plant the hands to the back, step the left foot back, drop the back knee down. Inhale, slowly come on up. Flip the palm, right arm, so left palm faces up towards the sky. We're gonna find the wrist, we're gonna lift up and toss back. So lift up and toss back. Lift up and toss back. And lift up and toss back. And lift up and toss back. Ooh. Up and toss back. Neutralize to the spine, windmill the hands down. Step back. High plank. Pressing into the heels of the hands. Anti-shrug muscles, posterior pelvic tilt. They're not sagging, but really rounding to the back. Not shrugging, anti-shrug muscles are on. You're gonna feel it in your low traps, which is the middle of your back, lower down, knees, chest, chin, and chaturanga. Inhaling up dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, press it back, keep those muscles engaged into down dog. Inhaling, left leg comes up towards the sky. Twist underneath, hello. Keeping those anti-shrug muscles on. Left foot in between the hands, runner's lunge. Drop the back knee down. Inhale, come on up. Forward, up, and back. We're gonna find length. Finding the right wrist, lift up and toss back. Lift up and toss back, lift up and toss back. You should be able to get way deeper now. Posterior pelvic tilt. Neutralize through the spine and take the twist. We found all that length. So take the twist. Ooh. Pop the back knee off the mat, hands in prayer, and then pry open. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Neutralize. You're in a runner's lunge. Look up. So from here, can you posterior pelvic tilt, strong back leg? Back foot to the top of the mat. Forward fold, anterior pelvic tilt. So naturally, when you do an anterior pelvic tilt, your back muscles should engage. Anti-shrug muscles coming all the way back up. Tricep stretch to the right. So tricep stretch on the left side. We're gonna side bend to the right. We should get deeper. Feel where the restriction is. So this side for me is a little tighter. So like before I felt it here, now when I do the side bend, I feel it. The psoas isn't the part that's restricting me now. It's the side muscles. Stomp on your left foot, go deeper. Reset. Can you walk your right hand down your left tricep to go deeper? This should be more available to you now, as this is our second or third time into our steep side bend. Neutralize to the spine and close the pose. Inhale. Exhale, swan diving forward. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, plant the hands. Step it back, high plank. Lower down, keeping those anti-shrug muscles on. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, press it back, downward facing dog. And when down dog, it's very easy to just not engage those upper back muscles and just dump everything into the shoulders. So we want to see if we can engage and activate those muscles. Inhaling, right leg comes up towards the sky. Drop the left forearm down, twist underneath your right arm. Bend your right knee. Lift the right knee up higher. Oh, getting deeper into that hip flexor and then straighten the leg. keeping all that length for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back into one-legged down dog. Right foot in between the hands, runner's lunge. Come on up to crescent lunge. Crescent lunge. Right arm reaches back to find the outside of the right thigh. Lift the left arm up like you're hanging from the ceiling. So you're going to find length. You're going to find this twist, and you're going to find length. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take the twist. Crescent lunge twist. We've been here before. We can go deeper this time. Prayer hands, then pry the arms apart for 5. Reach the right arm forward for 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you need to grab your blocks, you can grab your blocks. We're going to come into pyramid pose. So straightening out both legs. Notice if your left hip is pointed out diagonally. Internally spiral that right leg. Flat back. Strong and straight right leg. Pull the right hip back. There's not a whole lot of movement, but I feel a huge difference in the stretch. Just by pulling that right hip back, really start stretching the back of the right hamstrings, outer right glute. Maybe you drop the blocks down a little bit more, or down to the lowest level, or maybe you don't need a block. I think when I first started with you guys, I was on the top, right? I was on like the highest setting of the block. Right now I'm at least at the lowest setting of the blocks now. Flat back, anterior pelvic tilt. Right, this is really like anterior pelvic tilt on the right side and kind of a neutral hip on the other side. But think anterior pelvic tilt, that's going to get you deeper. What is that? A deeper hamstring stretch. Run lunge, look up, drop the back knee down. We're going to, Uday's favorite, we're going to tuck our right shoulder behind the right knee. Walk our hands out into a T. Crown of the head to the ankle. Crown of the head to the right ankle. And we're continuing to work on this year. Oh my goodness, we're already in August. Where did the time go? Where did the time go? Today is the 14th. Do you know, I've been at my new job for 5 months now. So fast. So fast. Where did the time go? Pop the back knee off the mat, maybe you go deeper. You keep getting deeper behind the right knee, crown of the head. To get the crown of the head down, you need to lift your hips up a little higher. You can come down onto your forearm if you wish, depending on where you are in your journey. But we're trying to get the outer right glute and also the inner thigh opening. Now walk the hands to the left. We're going to do transverse lunge. Bend the right knee, straighten out the left leg. Use the elbow to open up the inner thigh. So maybe you take a right foot out a little wider than you normally would. So this is going to get the inner thigh, or the hamstring on the left side, a little bit of the inner thigh on the right side. And we're going to come into froggy pose. So we'll come here first. Actually, we'll come to goddess pose first. Horse rider stance. Heels in, toes out. Inhale, slowly coming up. We're going to come into goddess or horse rider stance. Roll the shoulders back and down. Keeping the knees bent. Hands on the thighs. We'll drop our right shoulder down. Take the twist. But also, we're opening up through the inner thighs. And come back to center. Take the twist, drop the left shoulder down. This side is going to feel a little bit more tight because we haven't yet opened this side as much. Inhale, come back to center. Maybe you wiggle around. Rock from side to side and really get deep into that inner thigh. So you're using your glute. Maybe just cut out, adding a twisting action into the ball and socket joint. And then we come down into a low squat. Hips down. Then we'll come the knees down. Maybe you need to pad. Let me do froggy. I'll turn this way so you guys can see. All right, so we are, remember, if it's in a V, it's not going to get those muscles. You want them, your shin bones parallel. You want to walk your knees out as wide as you can. Come down onto your forearms. And slowly scoot your hips back. Now, remember with froggy, if you don't know if you're doing it right, you're not doing it right. Because when you do it right, you will know, because it is very, very apparent. Maybe you need to take your knee out wider. Remember, shin bones are parallel. Shin bones are parallel. And I'm going to millimeter by millimeter send my hips towards my ankles. And so Kiona started dance classes. I told you she's in 3 dance classes a week, plus swimming, plus soccer, plus gymnastics. And then they work on their splits. And so after a couple of weeks, she was able to get from a seated, maybe I'll have her show you when she gets back. Because she couldn't do it the first class, and after like 2 classes she could. She's trying to like get me and her dad to do it. And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't have the strength. I'm the youthfulness to be able to go from a seated V position to lifting up and then coming onto your belly into like a Sphinx or a Cobra pose. I'll have to have her show it to you. And she's very, very proud of the fact that she can do it. And then she keeps yelling at us for not being able to do it. So just breathe and continue to sink your hips back, because we're just going to get like millimeter by millimeter, get that opening. Really, this is inner thigh pectineus. Pectineus muscle attaches to the bone, like middle of the thigh on the inside, and then to somewhere on the pelvic girdle. So this is tight. That's why like this straddle split standing or seated, like why you can't get your V any wider, what the restriction is. I mean, there's a lot of restrictions in the different areas of the hip, but the pectineus is the big one, because if you're in a V and the part that allows you to open horizontally into a V is tight, which is your pectineus, then that's one of the main reasons why it doesn't go that way. My body doesn't go that way. All right, slowly extract yourself from this. And then we will find our way back elegantly into all fours. And we got to figure out how we got here. All fours, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Take the right leg up through the sky, big leg circles. Right, can you go bigger leg circles? Big leg circles. Big leg circle, and then switching directions. Right, because this is also how big your leg circle can go, is that, again, that V. And lower the feet down. Drop the knees down and sit it back to child pose. My inner thighs are awake now. Inhale, come on back up. All fours, tuck the toes, lift the hips. The right leg comes up towards the sky. Bring it away forward, runner's lunge. Now check out your runner's lunge. See if that time that we just spent opening the pectineus. Now it's orthogonal to the movement here, but it is related, right? So that, because this muscle is now, instead of going out to the side, if that muscle is tight from the attachment of the inner thigh to here, I mean, it doesn't have as much bearing, but it should feel, the runner's lunge, for me, feels just a little bit more space and room. That without the restriction in the pectineus, where I got more length out of the pectineus, I can actually go a little bit deeper in my runner's lunge, back foot to the top of the mat, forward fold. In your forward fold, do you feel a difference? Inhaling all the way back up. On my right side, I feel ever so slightly there is more space. Elbows back. Pull the occipital, like the skull, the back of the skull. Posterior pelvic tilt, slight back bend. And close the pose. Other side. Inhale. Exhale. Swan dive it forward. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale. Plant the hands. Step the back high plank. Anti-shrug muscles. Lowers us down into chaturanga. Inhaling up dog. Posterior pelvic tilt into an anterior pelvic tilt to down dog. Inhale, left leg comes up towards the sky. Drop the right forearm down, peekaboo. Now send the left leg behind you. Maybe there's a little bit more space because we worked on our pectineus. So you keep sending that left leg behind you towards the right. And then come back into one-legged down dog. Left foot in between the hands. Runner's lunge. We're going to come on up for crescent lunge. Notice how there's a little bit more space. Come on up. Crescent lunge. Left hand finds the outside of the right thigh. Inhale. Right arm forward. Hang like a monkey. Bend that left knee. Find length and twist. Strong back leg. The more you straighten the back leg, the deeper the stretch in your psoas. Crescent lunge twist. Oof. We should be able to go way deeper now. Prayer hands pry open and twist deeper. Reaching the left arm over for 5. Strong back leg. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Find your blocks. Pyramid pose. Pyramid pose. Both legs straight. I don't know you, but I feel my pyramid pose a whole lot easier on this side now that we spent a little bit more time on kind of, the pectineus goes on both sides, right? Because we were doing symmetrical. So this side's going to feel a lot easier because this time we entered in all of these poses after we stretched out on both sides. So pull that left hip back. Anterior pelvic tilt on the left leg, left side, left hip. Neutral spine on the right side. So the more you reach your left rib cage down and forward, the deeper the stretch. Right, rounded back, not as much stretch. Anterior pelvic tilt, more stretch on the hamstring. And this time we're concentrating a lot on the hamstring here. But we've done so much opening in the hamstring. I feel it here. Take the runner's lunge. We're going to tuck, drop the back knee down. We'll tuck the left shoulder behind the left knee. Round the head towards the left ankle. Pop the back knee off the mat. Lift the hips up to get deeper. You can take your arms out. You can take your arms out. Underneath like a T. And just breathe. This is going to get deeper. And transition. How do we get, I know we got to transverse lunge somewhere. Somehow we made it to, oh, I know, drop the heel down. And let me flip around and we're gonna go transverse lunge. Transverse lunge, bend the left knee, straighten out the right leg. We're gonna encourage opening of the left thigh with our left elbow, but also flexing through the right foot. Anterior pelvic tilt on the right side now. By any time we do an anterior pelvic tilt on a straight leg, we're gonna get deeper into that hamstring. On this transverse lunge, we're gonna feel it not just in the hamstring, but also on the inside, inner thigh. So come back into a goddess horse cowboy stance. Heels in, toes out. So this time maybe we can get the toes out even more. Heels in even more, toes out even more. Stack your rib cage over the hips. Notice how the knees want to, press in and want to press them out. So this is, again, the pectineus, how much we can press out. That's a restriction. So anytime you're going to V-sit or V-shape, that's the restriction is in the thigh. Drop your left shoulder down. Drop the right shoulder down. And then come down, down. And then we'll come down and we'll do our froggy stretch again. And we should be able to go deeper. So pad. And then we will, maybe perhaps we can go a little bit deeper. And send the hips back. Maybe you can get a little bit further back this time around. Like I know this time around, it didn't take as long to get adjusted. So it didn't take as long to hit the point of like, ooh, that's where the restriction is. Now it feels like, okay, getting into it's a little faster. And then now I've hit the spot where now I have to go at the snail's pace of like a millimeter at a time. Maybe you can go a little bit deeper. Find a little less restriction. A little more opening. And you have to breathe and allow, because the first thing that we want to do is just clench. And the protective mechanism is just to tighten. So you have to allow it some time to just open. Oh. And slowly come on out. Just let that opening sink into your memory cells. You know, when we do something the second time around, we can get like a lot deeper. Come back into all fours, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Inhaling, left leg comes up towards the sky. And go big circles and see if you can get bigger in your circles, where that restriction is a little bit less. Left foot in between the hands, runner's lunge. And you might feel like you have like a little bit more space in your runner's lunge. Back foot to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhaling all the way back up, floating arms up towards the sky. And close the pose. Inhale. Exhale, swan dive it forward. Inhaling halfway up, exhale, plant the hands. Step it back, high plank. Anti-shrug muscles are on. Lower down, inhaling up dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, press it back. Downward facing dog. And then lowering the knees down and sit it back into child's pose. So go ahead and sit back into child's pose. I'm going to grab some water. And breathing here. Perhaps you take the knees a little bit wider. In your child's pose. You have a little bit more space in your inner thighs. Inhale, come on up into all fours, tuck the toes, lift hips, downward facing dog. Anterior pelvic tilt here. Inhaling, right leg comes up towards the sky, swing it way forward, runner's lunge. Drop the back heel down, side angle. Notice if your side angle feels a little different. And maybe you could get a little deeper, getting this leg pressed back. So a lot of times this knee will want to roll in towards the left. You can press it back, a little bit more opening to be able to do that. And now I can feel my left oblique having to work because now the restriction is gone on the inner right thigh. Now my left oblique can twist more and now it has to work more. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Windmill the hands down into lizard pose. So come onto the outside edge of the right foot. Left hand down. Reaching the right arm back. Maybe you find the top of your left foot. And twist. Maybe you bring your left heel closer to your sit bone. Tuck your right shoulder behind your right knee, crown of the head down. Pop the back knee off the mat. If you take a strap, we want to do straight arm bind, which is a little different. And if we just took a bound, like a crescent lunge bind or a runner's lunge bind. So drape the strap behind your back, tuck Your right shoulder behind your right knee, crown of the head aims for the ankle. Grab the strap behind you, straighten out both arms, and pop the back knee off the mat. This is going to get into the outer right glute without the restriction of the inner thigh. So you're going to feel it more in the outer glute today because we spent a lot of time opening the inner thigh. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now let's see how your Kundalini 2, flying splits 2, feels today. Last week we added the anti-shrug muscle baby Cobra when we moved forward into Kundalini 2. That's going to give us a stronger base to do our flying split. So if we tuck under, we got to turn around the hair arms, anti-shrug muscles on, Cobra. Your Kundalini 2 should be way stronger. Oh. With an eventual transition to grow. We'll work on that over the next year. So just trying to hold Kundalini 2, so endurance, hold Kundalini 2 for as long as you can. We're building a stronger base, right? Our inner thighs are more open. We've got our anti-shrug muscles down. See how long we can hold our Kundalini 2. Goal, let's say goal by the end of this year, that we can hold Kundalini 2 for a minute. So let's try 30 seconds. Is this the stopwatch? No, I need the other one. I need this one. All right, so let's start the clock. Let's go. Oh, and see how long you can hold it. 15 seconds in. 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Not too bad. See, keep going. Yeah, keep going. Let's do that. Okay, how do we get here? I don't know how we got here. Okay. Should we attempt Ekapada? I've never actually been able to get Ekapada Bakasana. That's one-legged crow. Where like one leg is in TT Boss and one leg is in crow. I haven't figured that one out yet. I don't get that one. It does not like quite comprehend in my brain. Well, we could try TT Basana. We can do Bujapidasana and TT Basana. Just shoulder pressure pose or firefly pose. We have one side open, and then when we open the other side, we can try it again, see how it works. So let's try Bujapidasana, shoulder press down, shoulder press first. I like to do it elevated, or I can't really, oh yeah. So try to find some blocks. I'm gonna come, like firefly pose is my nemesis, is my absolute nemesis, because it requires like a lot of compression down to like a little sandwich, right? Because if you think about it, TT Basana is essentially like this, but you know, turned 90 degrees. So gravity is not your friend at that point. I wonder what yoga in space would look like. You know, maybe you can't really do yoga in space. Okay, so we did a lot of tucking the shoulder behind the knee. So that's what really a lot of this is. It's taking that squat and then kind of working your shoulder behind the knee, and then so you want to get your shoulders deep behind the knee, both shoulders deep behind the knee, and then lift the hips up towards the sky, right? So you're opening that up. So basically, this is just turn 90 degrees. That gets us to what we're aiming for. So you put your hands down onto the block, squeeze. This is going to be a lot of obliques. You're going to squeeze onto the triceps. And if you straighten your legs, that's PT Boss. If you hook your feet, this is Bhujapidas, shoulder press stand, or shoulder press, I think, right, this. Ooh, right here, compression, compression. So try and play around with that. So it requires a lot of compression, right, anterior pelvic tilt. The more anterior pelvic tilt you have, because you don't want to necessarily round your back, right? Because here we're in an anterior pelvic tilt compression. So try a couple times. I can tell you, this is definitely better than before, because before I would have to struggle with Bhujapidas, but now I can at least get to this. With the eventual goal of TT Boss, which is arms straight and this compressed thing with your legs out into a V. So play around with Bhujapidas. Bhujapidas is when you can actually hook your feet together, so it's a little bit easier. So you're like less dependent on the engagement of your obliques pressing your thighs against your triceps. But hopefully, compared to the last time we did TT Boss or Bhujapidas, you've seen improvement or advancement in what you're able to do, because all those muscles that are required of that, we have worked diligently and hard over the past 6 months, year, 5 years. Okay, now we have the other side to do. We're gonna go figure out how we got there. I think we started with side angles. Let's find ourselves back into all fours. Barrel roll it out. And changing directions. Can you do a barrel roll by also engaging those anti-shrug muscles as well? And then tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Your hip bone socket should feel super lubricated. Inhale, left leg comes up towards the sky. Just kind of feel how all your poses feel different with that decreasing restriction of your pectineus left foot. From between the hands, we're going to come into a side angle on the other side. Really opening up through that left inner thigh. Now I can feel the stretch really deep into the psoas and the less restriction on the inner thigh. So it's like we loosen like the hip muscles, and then we get deeper into the psoas muscles. And when we loosen the psoas muscles, we get deeper into the hip muscles. And kind of like we inchworm our way through to find length in our body. Windmill the hands down, come down for lizard, come to the outside edge of the left foot. And come on up. Oh. Left foot reaches back. Heel comes to the sit bone. That's going to get you a deeper quad stretch. Roll your shoulder open. Maybe today feel the chest a little bit broader, so the restriction is in the quads. Because we didn't spend a lot of time on quads today. Maybe we do that next time. We've been contracting the quads a lot in a bunch of our classes. I think it's time to do a lot of bow type movement. And release. Okay, tuck the left shoulder behind the left knee. So now you know where this is important and where this is going, right? So let's find that strap, straight arm bind. Drape the strap over your back. Tuck the left shoulder behind the left knee. Straight arms. Hop the back knee off the mat. Go deeper, crown of the head to the ankle. use your obliques. Find your obliques to smash your left quad, left thigh against your left obliques. Straight arms. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And release, release, release. Okay. Let us. So into Batakanasana 2, we've got a whole new upgraded body parts. We're going to do a really solid base with the anti-shrug muscles and then baby cobra as we go into Batakanasana 2. Go ahead and just try, hold for as long as you can. Then when we're done with that, then we'll time it. Yeah. So go a little deep underneath. Anti-shrug muscles are on. Baby cobra. All right. So this time, of course, the wash doesn't stay on, which makes it harder. How do I do custom? Custom. Here we go. I don't want 5 minutes. I want 30 seconds. Here we go. Okay, 30 seconds. Ready? All righty. Oh, why does the watch keep going off? All right, ready? I'm gonna add a couple of seconds. And begin. For 30 seconds. Batakanasana 2, baby cobra. Breathing. There we go, and done. Oh, good job. Good job. All right, where do we go from here? Oh yeah. Batakanasana, Basana, some variation. You don't have to use blocks. If you want to do, I mean, it's a little bit harder for me if you put the hands on the ground, right? Because it requires you to lift a lot more or to be compact a lot more with your hands on the ground. But if you've got Batakanasana and Basana, then you can transition to doing it not on the blocks. All right, so let's find ourselves in standing, and so that we can really tuck our shoulders behind our knees. Yeah, so we take a nice wide squat, send our hips way back, right? And then kind of create, lubricate the hip joints, and then wiggle the shoulders behind the knees. So, nope. And so try, maybe with the blocks, without the blocks, maybe you can get into Tiki Boss. But for me, my first step was I could never get into Tiki Boss, well, even on the blocks. So I'm going to attempt Tiki Basana on the blocks, and then we'll see how we get. Or you can get back to doing Batakanasana, right, where you're pressing and you can hook the feet together. Here, I'll come this way. Maybe you can do diagonally. You can see what happens if I turn on the light. Does that give you a glare? Or maybe a little better. Okay. So the key is tailbone up towards the sky, right? Anterior pelvic tilt. Now, as you come down, you compress as much as you can. Bend and then tuck, right? The shoulder way back. And then squeeze, and you want to compact. You want to compact yourself. And you want to use the lower belly. Oh, And for me, that is, right, in order to do really full Batakanasana, it's some kind of, for me, it's a restriction on my hamstrings as well as the pectineus, right? Because I can't, essentially what you're doing like a V sit, or yeah, like a V konasana, and I have to compact myself such that this is on my tricep. So, you know, if I'm super flexible and can lay flat, right, then that's going to be easier. But it's this flexibility, which I'm getting a lot better at. So that's what's going to prevent me from getting my legs straight. So it's continuing to work on that to get to Batakanasana. But this is, you know, just getting my legs even bent and holding it is progress than what I was able to do before. Before, it was like, I don't even understand. I was struggling with Batakanasana. But now, right, and this is compression. Oh, trying to activate the low belly. So my cramps are in the upper belly, which means I'm not actually using the low belly, and I need to use the low belly, which I'm still trying to figure out how to do, the low belly to bring me into Batakanasana. So I'm going to try this one more time, try 3 times. But it's imagining that we're taking our low belly and smashing it to the back of the spine. That's what's the muscle that's required for Batakanasana. I think I felt it once a couple of weeks ago, like I was like, I've never used that muscle in the way you've asked me to do in the past 10 years. So it was like, oh, you mean that muscle? So it was eye-opening as always. All right, one more time. And surprisingly, it was when we were doing pike. That is when I found that muscle. So, how are we doing? All right. Now, let's try froggy one more time. You want to capitalize on the fact that we've already done it twice. So just to really feel in the progress, I can definitely tell the second time I went in, the immediate like defense mechanism of wanting to contract was a whole lot better. You want to find the balance between like not overworking a particular thing to injury, but also doing enough repetition that, you know, your body, you're making progress. Okay, let's come on out. Nice and slow. And so our body should be primed for gate pose. So optional that you can have the one knee bent and one leg straight. You can have, depending on where your body is, either the knee on the inside, or so the foot on the inside, or gate pose is when your foot is on the outside. And you can see like this is where we were working on with, you know, with all the frogginess, right? So this is your frog pose, frog side, right? And trying to get that left hip down is where the restriction is. So you can do either, because, you know, this one side being kind of like a half asana, depending on where you are, you know, it may be available or not available. So gate pose, either way, with the left knee, with the foot inside or outside, internally or externally rotated. Depending on where you need the strap. So in gate pose, you have your left hand reaching over for the right foot. And then your right hand finds the left ankle. So depending on where you are and what your restriction is, I'm going to put the loop on my left foot, like so. Oops, I think I had it on backwards. Come on, this way. There we go. And this leg straight, and reaching the right hand through to the strap. You might not need very much strap. Ugh. Use that right elbow to get into the inside of the right thigh. And then, there we go. Almost. Oof. Almost. I can just, and twist underneath. Yeah. Now this also has a lot of element of the low back, which we didn't do a lot of. So if we were going to do, if we did like a ton more of like twists today, then we would probably get to go a little deeper. We spent a lot more time on the inner thighs. So that's why I feel the restriction is my back and not my inner thighs today. And release. Come on out. And we'll go to the other side. Now, obviously, it's going to be a little bit easier if you bend your foot in, right? And then do the twist this way. So I'm twisting my rib cage in. You can see, right, today, I mean, on some days in class, right, I'm like, I can touch my foot, no problem. Today, I feel a restriction all in here, all back in here. One, because I haven't done yoga but once a week. And two, we didn't work on twists, right? So it's, you know, flexibility is not a static thing. Your body is, an accumulation of its experiences, and your body doesn't lie. And it's just my body saying, guess what? You haven't done yoga in a while. So we can find our gate pose on this side, whichever variation you want to do. I'm going to put the strap on the foot back here. I'm going to crawl my left hand down, and then I'm going to twist over. Now remember, it's not about touching the foot. It's more about just your body opening. Here, twist and open. And again, I also feel the restriction of my inner thighs. I feel it in my back, right? Because we spend a lot of time opening the inner thighs. So those are good today. But like, this is super tight. The erector spinae, the QL muscle, super tight. Because we didn't work on it today. And that is A-okay. Right, so what does this look like? Very similar to like a bird of paradise-ish. Ooh. And release. So let us check our seated V and where we are today. Okay, so this can go a little wider for me today. Oof. Oof. And this is a little bit flatter today for me. Anterior pelvic tilt. Get your sit bones down. Anterior pelvic tilt reaches forward. So this, usually I will struggle to get my forearms down. Today it's just a tad bit, a smidge easier. So here, rounded back, I'm pulling my feet, I'm smashing, I'm engaging through my quads and smashing the back of my knees down. That's going to help me get even deeper. And into this compression. And this compression is what we need for a lot of the press handstands and Batakanasana, a lot of the things, anything that involves compression, right, which is the arm balances, right, because you have to compress in order to stack. When you're like in a forearm stand or a crow transitions, Kundanyasana to crow, any of those all require you to pass through compression, right, because you're aligning. Oh. Whew. So side, not so much today, right? Oh, so next week we'll do deeper twists. What do we do, side quads and deeper twists? That's not next week, but the next time we meet. Okay. All right, let's come on to our back. So we did a lot of anterior pelvic tilt. We did a lot of, so bridge and wheel and bow and all those things. So maybe we should do a little bow. So actually come and roll onto your belly. Come roll onto your belly. Oh, and take a nap. No, we're gonna do one-armed bow. Right arm forward. Left hand finds the left ankle. Flexing through the left foot. We're gonna kick the foot into the hand. Oh, kick the foot into the hand. Posterior pelvic tilt, anti-shrug muscles. And release. And then the other side. So anti-shrug muscles, kick the foot into the hand, bow. And both side bow. And then you guys can do bridge and wheel. And release. And roll onto your back. Oh. So take bridge pose, take wheel pose. Wheel, check out, we actually do bridge pose and then check out wheel, because wheel, there's restrictions in two areas. There's the hips and there's the shoulders. Today we worked on hips. So it'll be interesting to know if you feel wheel feels any different today. So bridge pose should feel really good because your hips are super open. So bridge pose should be easier to get like higher in your bridge pose. So I'm curious to know how your wheel feels if you're doing wheel, because your hips are like much more open. And so even if you drop, like for me, when I'm dropping my knee side to side of windshield, normally I feel like a lot of restriction in the hip flexors, in the front of the hip flexors right here. Today, it's like the restriction isn't as there. It's going into like higher up. So again, I'm super curious to try wheel and see if now the restriction is probably going to be the shoulders. Yeah, it's definitely the shoulders. Oh, we didn't open them as much. All right, so I can really push the weight into my hands, away from my feet, a bit like my shoulders. I feel it like really super tight. Like no problem in the base, no problem in the bottom half. So try wheel and see if my hypothesis is true. And then when you're ready, come down to Batakanasana and see how your butterfly feels now. Soles of the feet together, knees apart. And when you're ready, just come down and take your Shavasana in reclined butterfly pose. And kind of open up the inner thighs. Allow your glutes your butt muscles to not clench. Notice when they do. With no intervention and just gravity opening up your inner thighs in butterfly pose, see if it's able just to settle in and get a little deeper. Now in like a restorative class, sometimes we'll use like sandbags to place on top of our inner thighs with something heavy as a passive way of opening up the inner thighs. And slowly bring your knees together, extend the legs out long. Toss the arms overhead. Lower the hands down by your side, closing the eyes here. Slowly rolling onto one side. Taking a moment to let today's practice sink into your body. Slowly pressing yourself up to seated, keeping the eyes closed, rooting your sit bones into the earth. Inhaling, arms overhead, clasping palms together. Inhale, tall, exhale, drawing hands to heart center. Bowing forward, namaste.